Hello, leaders, and welcome to the 2024 Performance Review Training for hourly, non-union, and individual contributors. As most of you have probably heard by now, the review process for these team members will start on Monday, December 9th. I'm sure we all understand that performance reviews play an important role in employee growth and overall success. So the information in this video and corresponding email that you received along with it will help ensure that we have a smooth process and make sure that we're all in alignment on what is expected. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing, I want to let you all know that the process is the same as last year. So this training is more of a review of what we covered last year. If you recall, the performance review was changed to focus on three behaviors: work reliability, behavioral performance, and functional performance. Work reliability particularly focuses on attendance. Behavioral performance looks at the Live 5 standards and how they do the job. So we're talking about guest loyalty, team focus, so on and so forth. And then functional performance talks about their knowledge and skill set when it comes to doing the job. So these are the three areas that we're rating our team members on during this cycle. Okay. So rating reliability. Again, if you recall, we used to have 5 options when it came to rating, and last year we broke it down to 3. So the 3 areas for rating are needs improvement, meets expectation, and exceeds expectations. If the team member needs improvement, this is a developmental opportunity. You should be discussing additional training for that team member if you're rating them as such, and then have some follow-up to ensure that you see some improvement in those areas throughout the year. Meets expectations. This is where team members should be. A lot of times our team members feel that if they do not receive and exceeds expectations, that they're not doing a good job. This is absolutely false. Most of our team members will fall and meets expectations. This means they're doing exactly what's required of them, a good job. So this is where we'll find most of our team members will fall. And then last but not least, exceeds expectations. This person consistently goes above and beyond. The important thing to remember with exceeds expectations, and I'm going to show you the actual performance review shortly, but if you rate them as exceeds expectations, you need to fully be able to explain why you're rating them as exceeds expectations in the comment section of the performance review. And we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so let's take a look at what it looks like in Kronos. Again, I'm going to bring up the actual review so you'll see it. So again, the first area, work reliability, focus on attendance. Okay, you have improvement needed, meets standards, exceeds expectations. What I always recommend is that you fill in your comments before you rate, because your comments will be a good guide as to how you would rate them. This is important. You're going to find in the system that the numbers are a little different, but in order to be fair to our team members in Maryland, we decided to make a slight change to what's considered does not meet, meets, and exceeds. All right. So does not meet. If a team member has between 8.5, again, we had to consider latenesses and understand that latenesses are half a point. If a team member has 8.5 through 9 or more points, they do not meet expectations. 1 through 8 points meets expectations, and 0 to 0.5 is perfect attendance. Okay. Again, I'll show you in the performance reviews, the numbers will look a little different, but keep this in mind when rating your team members. We had to take the half point into consideration. Here's the next section of the performance review, behavioral performance. Again, the performance review in Kronos will have some basic information on what you're rating them on. You're rating them, again, whether it's improvement needed, meets standards, exceeds expectations. Okay. And then again, you'll have some clarity or some additional information to help you be clear on how you should rate your team member. Okay. And then the same goes for the functional performance. Okay. So on this presentation, which is included in the email that you received, you're going to see this link for functional metrics. I've also included the link for that in the email. This refers to the department metrics that we did last year for all departments to determine, based on each position in their department, what's considered needs improvement, what's considered meets standards, and what's considered exceeds expectations. You'll have the link to that. It's a spreadsheet that has every department. You will just find your tab for your department, and you'll have your metrics there if you filled them out last year. On the spreadsheet, you'll notice that there are a number of tabs that are highlighted in red. Those departments have been notified. The red means that the metrics are not filled out, and we need to get those updated. So please, if you are one of those departments that has a red tab, please make sure you update your metrics in the attached spreadsheet. All right, objectivity. This is important. And again, you may remember this from last year. We kind of discussed this. So just some tips when you're evaluating your team members. Remember to consider the entire year. When you get the evaluation in your Kronos Bell, I know sometimes things get a little hectic, but we want to look over the over the full year. So you want to take time to go back. Hopefully you have an employee file where you can go back in and see, have they received any live fives? Were there any corrective actions? What does their attendance look like over the year? And we're going to help you with that by providing you with some documents to assist. Focus on specific actions, all right? Not how you feel about the team member, but specific actions. Be aware of the halo and horn effect. So what is that? The halo effect occurs when a positive impression in one area influences the overall impression of the person. So you like the person, or it's something about them you like, so you rate them higher, even though their job performance may not be that great. The horn effect is the exact opposite. You have a negative impression of that person, so that negativity impacts how you rate them. Again, we want to focus on specific actions. We want to be objective, and we want to focus on how they're performing in their position. Okay. Also consider any possible unconscious biases, affinity biases, feeling a connection to those similar to us, perception biases, stereotypes and assumptions about different groups, confirmation biases, looking to confirm our own opinions and pre-existing ideas. All of this shouldn't play a role in how you're rating your team members. The performance review should be based strictly on their performance, whether they're doing well or whether they need improvement. Okay. So again, focus on the expectations of the job. Okay. And here are some examples of some performance notes that you can put in. We want to let them know if they're not performing well when it comes to work reliability, that it's important that they be here. It's an essential part of the job, and that should be part of the discussion that you're having with them. Discuss issues preventing them from being here on time. Is it a transportation issue? We know where we're located, we don't have a lot of public transportation, so team members may be struggling with that. Is it a scheduling issue because of family obligations? This is your opportunity to discuss some of those things and see if there's some things that we can change to help them to be here and be more reliable. Functional performance. Discuss specific examples of how this individual performs the task associated with their role. Are they doing a good job? Are there areas of improvement? Okay, if they're doing a good job and they want to advance, then maybe we want to set some goals into learning additional skills and things like that. And then behavioral performance. Identify and discuss specific examples of service behaviors of the individuals. Ask questions to ensure there's an understanding of how to execute the Live 5 standards. Okay, first, as leaders, we need to be familiar with the Live 5 standards, and we need to be able to fully explain the Live 5 standards to our team members and how it applies to their role. They need to understand how to apply those standards based on their position. Okay, so that's your conversation guide. So here's the timeline. As I mentioned, the process will begin on 12/9. The performance reviews will be delivered to the direct manager's bell. Now, The timeline says direct managers. Again, the important thing to remember is based on the workflow of the performance review is going to go to the person who is in the additional manager field in Kronos. It is not going to go to approver one. So by now you should have heard from your HRBP and you should have replied to make sure that the right person is in the additional manager field. So on Monday, when the reviews are pushed out, it goes to the correct person. Okay. So you'll have between 12:09 and 1:10 to write the reviews. Okay. On 1/1/12, somewhere around there, we're going to pull an updated attendance report. This performance review is for a full year, so it goes from January 1st through the end of December. We're starting this process on December 9th, so you still have to consider the next few weeks after December 9th when it comes to attendance or when it comes to corrective actions. So again, your BP, when the performance reviews go out, we'll send you your CAN reports. We'll send you your attendance reports on 12/9 or around 12/9. Then again on 1/1, those reports will be pulled again and sent to you so you can look to see if there have been any changes over the next few weeks between 12/9 and 1/1. Okay. Then 1/11 through 1/19, HR leaders, department leaders will calibrate. Okay, and adjustments will be made depending on what adjustments that may need to be made to ensure that the scoring is accurate. 120 to 124, finance will finalize all of the scorings based off of the bell curve. The bell curve will be sent out to directors and above. So if you're a manager and you have any questions about the bell curve, please reach out to the director or above in your department. 127 to 210, the performance reviews will be sent back to the direct managers to schedule conversations, performance conversations with the team members. So they want to schedule those conversations. I recommend that you allow at least 30 minutes for each conversation so that you can fully go over the performance. It shouldn't really be about their ratings. It should be more about the comments, what they're doing well, if there are areas of improvement, and what you're going to do to assist them in each area. Okay. The goal is for the increases to be submitted to payroll by 2/6, and then the increases hit the paychecks for these team members by 2/14. Okay, this timeline is included in the email, so you'll have access to this as well. In addition, this presentation I will attach in the email, so you'll be able to refer back to this if you have any questions. All right. If questions arise down the road, feel free to email the training team at mdlperformancereview@livech.com. The reason we recommend you use this email address is because it goes to everyone. If you email one individual person and they're out, you may not get a prompt response. So utilize this email address so that we can ensure that someone gets back to you as soon as possible. Okay. All right, so with that said, let's go a little deeper into this and let's look at a couple of things. So this is the email that you received that has this video attached. And as I mentioned, there's a link to the performance metrics. We'll look at that in a moment. All right, let's walk through the actual performance review. So you'll log into Kronos, and these are for the person that's in the additional manager field that will actually be completing the review. All right, you log into your Kronos, you'll see that you have information in your bell. You click on your bell. It will bring up your to-do items. And you see here, I have two examples of team member performance reviews. These are test accounts. All right, so on this page, there's a couple of things I want to show you. First, it has all of the information for the team member, HRBP, so on and so forth. I think we're all familiar with that. A couple of things some of you may not have looked at before is number one, workflow. I'm going to click here, and this is in Kronos. I know this may be a little hard to see on your screen, but I'll walk you through. So again, let's say for this team member, I'm the person in the additional manager field. On Monday, December 9th, their performance review drops to my bell. So it says to be completed by me. Okay. Once I complete my performance review and I submit it, it goes to the HRBP. Okay. The HRBP has the ability to either approve or reject the review. If they approve it, it moves forward. If they reject it, it goes back to the additional manager, or me in this case, to make any corrections that the BP is recommending. Okay, so let's say they go ahead and they approve it. It goes forward. And well, let me just go back a little bit. The HRBP is going to hold the review. So if they have a department that has 50 reviews, they're going to hold all of the reviews in their bell until they've had the opportunity to go over them with the department leads, and then for finance to determine increases and all of that. So they'll hold them. Once they get approval to let them go, they'll go ahead and submit them, and then they'll go to the manager, again, the person in the additional manager field, it goes to them, and they'll receive a message that says, stop, meet with your team member. This is where you should be then sending out your notifications to your team members that you're scheduling a performance review meeting with them. Do not open this and submit it, because if you open it and submit it, it goes to the team member, and you haven't had an opportunity to have that meeting. So please, as it says, stop, hold this in your bell, schedule a meeting with your team member. Once the team member comes in the meeting, then you can go over the review with them. Okay, you can open the review in Kronos. You can go over it. Again, we shouldn't focus on ratings, but focus on the main conversation should focus on the comments and what you observe, what's going well, where they need improvement, and maybe even set some goals. Okay. Once you have that meeting, and what I recommend is when you have your team member come to the meeting, have them come with their cell phone so that they can log into Kronos. Or if you have a computer available in your department or in your office that they can log in, have them log in before the meeting starts, because the next step will be for them to sign the review. Okay, we know that a lot of times we have to chase team members down. If we submit it and they walk off without signing it, we have to chase them down. So if you have them open it right then and there after you review it, you can submit it. It will go to their bell. They can review it, and then they can do their e-sign. And then once they sign it, it goes to back to the HRIS team to finalize the review. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen the whole workflow before, but that's how it works. Hopefully this helps you with an understanding of the process. It's pretty simple. Additional manager, HRBP, HRBP holds. Once it's cleared, it goes back to additional manager. Additional manager schedules the meeting. After the meeting, the additional manager submits, sends it to the team member signs it, and then it goes to HRIS to finalize. Okay, so that's workflow. Now, this is also where I've had some confusion. Sometimes it's the little things that we get questions on. A lot of times leaders have seen this link and they'll click on it to start the performance review. And then I get an email, hey, Jeff, I'm opening my performance review, but I don't see where I can fill in anything. It's blanked out, what have you, as you see here. So basically that means do not use that link, okay? Do not use that. You want to go down here and click the button that says review, okay? Once you click that button, it will open up the review and you'll be able to see everything, okay? Again, we have our three areas: work reliability, job knowledge, Live 5 service, and then any goals if you're going to add those in here. I don't necessarily recommend that you do that in this performance review. As I mentioned earlier, Kronos shows the point numbers a little different. Again, we've made the determination that we're taking that 0.5 into consideration. So again, exceeds is 0 to 0.5 is perfect. Meets is 1 through 8, as it says here, and needs improvement is 8.5 or above, okay? So again, pretty simple process from here. You put in your comments, make sure to be very detailed. focus on specific actions. If there are concerns, identify those concerns, but offer solutions for improvement, and then set some goals to monitor them to make sure that they improve. Okay, and then once you write that in, you can go ahead and put in your rating. You do the same for job knowledge and do the same for Live 5. Now, just so we understand, when we talk about being consistent and scoring consistently across the board, what's going to play a huge part in that? And that is the metrics that are attached to the email. So I'm going to bring that up just so I can give you an example. So this is what the spreadsheet that's attached looks like. Okay, it has every department. Okay, and then it has their functional performance metrics. So each department, and I'll just take a look at advertising for an example. Each department should have every position within that department. So again, right now we're looking at the hourly, non-union, and individual contributors. So at least we should have that filled out, or those positions filled out. But again, we're going to use this for the union employees as well. So we want to make sure that we have all the positions within the department filled out over here in the first column. Okay. Then you have your metrics. Okay. This was determined by the department. Okay. This was sent out last year to to department leaders, for leaders to determine based on the position, what metrics do we want to look at to determine if they're performing up to standard. Okay. Then once we determine the metric, the department leader then just said, this is what's considered does not meet. This is what's considered meet. And this is what's considered exceeds. So if you're a person who's in the additional manager field and you're completing a performance review for a team member, when you're in, I'm going to go back, when you're in Kronos and you're going to job knowledge skill set, you should be utilizing the metrics to determine how to rate the team member. Okay, again, utilize the metrics to determine how to rate the team member. If every department across the board uses these metrics, we're not the only location that has this. They're doing it in Philly. They're doing it in Westmoreland, and we can ensure consistency across the board. Okay, so that's where your performance metrics sheet comes in, and it's attached to the email along with this video. Now, as I mentioned, there are some departments listed on here in red. Please make sure to update your metrics once you receive this. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Here's the email that you all received. It will have the presentation. It will have a link to the department metrics, and then it has the expectations and a reminder of the resources that are available for you to utilize. Okay, so guys, that's all I have from now. Hopefully this information is helpful and will help guide you through completing the performance review. We want to obviously, as always, make this a priority. We want to do our best to stick to the timeline. I'll have the timeline included in the email as well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please send an email to mdlperformancereviews@livech.com so that we can get back to you as soon as possible. All right, that's all I have today, guys. Have a good day and enjoy your upcoming holidays as well. Have a good one.